Good morning, everybody. Jewelry Talk, Susan Lennart here, and it's Jewelry Talk. This is actually the softer side or the more right brain side of jewelry. Everything to do with jewelry that doesn't have to do with technique. So it's history, it's clearing yourself, it's spirituality, it's hello everyone, good morning. It's just a lot of stories. When I talk about Jewelry Talk, I realized I have so many stories from my travels early on in the 80s and 90s. Good morning, everybody who's joining me. Nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining. I have a pretty cool subject today, so I'm super excited. Hello. Here's our community. For me, it's so nice when I was waking up this morning. Hi, Robert. I was realizing how happy I am to have this community. You know, everyone's starting to get out there a little bit more. But oh my gosh, how nice to connect with this beautiful community in jewelry. So I'm so grateful for all you guys wearing all my jewelry here as usual. Jewelry Talk is the softer side of jewelry and technique. I teach an intentional metalsmithing course, which is all about, you know, like the left brain soldering and how to get your pieces right and how to build this and this and this. Jewelry Talk, I like to reserve every Thursday. Hi, you guys, thank you. I know I'm building it out. I also finished another pretty powerful piece that I want to talk about too. So I think that'll be pretty good. Jewelry Talk is really about, I did a lot of travels in my 20s. I studied at the Art Institute of Chicago, and I take a real right brain approach. My approach to jewelry is through adornment and fashion. So I talk about color and strength, and I studied Talisman. And when I was in my 20s, when I did a lot of my travels and stayed like in remote villages, I did a lot of, thank you, I know. Have to make sure I'm wearing all my bling, that's right. My big bling, my protectors, my power pieces. Today, hi, there's Christina here, nice to see you. All right, you guys, nice to see you guys. All this bling. Let me see, is Maddie on here? Let me see if Maddie's on. I usually see Maddie on here. Okay, so I want to talk about, today I really want to talk about Talisman. I know I've talked about Talisman before. I know it's such a fun subject. A lot of us build Talisman. That's why we love each other, right? Thank you, Christina. Good, I'm so glad. We have a little, there's Sandy. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you, Sandy. Nice to see you. Love my Talisman pieces. Thank you so much. And listen, we all love these talisman. I really want to talk about kind of a really deep subject today, really about, about the source of talisman, and not just my talisman. Today, I want to talk to you guys. A lot of times a lot of my studies are from culture. So when I do Jewelry Talk, you guys hear a lot of my talk is about cultures, and I bring in, if I'm going to bring in like a type of jewelry or a type of adornment, it usually in ancient times or even in the 18 and 1900s, and even now, we really build our colors having to do with our own symbolism, our own love of colors, the colors that we need, the pieces that we need around us to give us our strength and love and power. And really, it's what jewelry making and adornment is all about, is wearing the pieces that make you feel good, picking the mate that makes you feel good, right? It's like all related. We want to walk through life and choose our life with what makes us feel strong and powerful and full of love and happy. That's exactly what we should be doing. So I'm going to talk to you guys. This is actually a book called Spirit World. This one, if it's not on here, Christina usually pops it up here. I have an Amazon page that puts all the books up that I talk about. I have got stacks and stacks and stacks of books that I've been reading throughout my history since I was 20 and started loving adornment and cultures. And it's funny because I was just telling my daughter how much, like if I'm feeling a little bit low or a little bit down, oh my God, let me dig into a jewelry book and I'm in heaven. I actually have a Morocco jewelry book here on my table. If I'm, this week, sometimes if I'm struggling with family or struggling with things, man, I jump in this book and I'm like smiling on the inside, right? That's my talisman. That's making me happy. I'm in the field that I like it. Okay, she's going to add it later. So this book actually, it's really interesting. It's called The American Indians, The Spirit World, but it's by Time Life Books. So, it's not even an author. I think this must have been with the whole series, but I found this one and I love it. The thing I want to talk about in here is that I originally, when I came back from a lot of my travels, I started looking into the Native American Indian because I'm from the United States. Anyone who listens to Jewelry Talk and you're not from the United States, if you're from Europe, you don't have this experience that we do of this beautiful group of people who, we share our land with, and we took their land, as we all know, we took their land, but I'm not going to really get into political right now. One of the things I do want to mention, though, politically, is that when we talk about the Native American Indians, we can talk about our tribe, like our jewelry tribe, but you really don't want to talk about a tribe. That would be politically incorrect. So we talk about the people. In fact, most of the names, like of the groups of Indians, their name has to do with calling them the people, or the humans, or the good people, or things like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting. Oh my gosh, of course. So this book is about from the 1850s, and in talking about Talisman, I want to talk about the source of shaman and the source of medicine men, which could be, or medicine women, could be the same, it could be, interchangeable. And as far as talking about the Native American Indian, I do want to say that it really is in so many cultures. When I started studying in the 80s, I started studying pieces and talisman, like pieces that were rubbed and worn, and why was this piece, if you think about how common it was, we had spoons in the 70s that we were making our jewelry from in the US, and I'd go out and I'd see pieces with bone in there and gems, and you'd wonder, why would you put so much time and energy into this type of a piece, but it really, if it's your power piece, this piece maybe I'll wear next time. This one feels so good on too. It really gives you strength and power. So one of the things that I noticed in my quest and researching many different religions and spirituality, in my quest is that when it comes down to it, most religions had like a sense of healing, a sense of musical instruments that either drum out the negative spirit or shake out with rattles, or things like this, movement, shaking things out, disturbing energies that could, hi Sherry, nice to see you, that, disturbing energies, like if you're in a funk and if you're not feeling great when you wake up, that's what I talk about in Jewelry Talk. It's literally a way to clear yourself. And I do have an exercise up in intentional metalsmithing that really is a way of putting the light through you, getting to your core, and doing your real work. Well, it's the same thing, with building your talisman. You really want to get to your love and your power are the two main attributes that I see that people are working towards with their clearing. Why power? We want to talk about it more as strength, I guess. You know what I mean? Love and strength. You don't want to be, I think, back in the 70s, there was this time where people were all about love, and open, but didn't hold power or strength. It's really important to hold your power and strength, but also to hold love too. So they really could work hand in hand, and especially I'm seeing this like with the Native American Indians. So what I want to talk about a little bit has to do with the Sioux Indians. This book has a lot to do with the Sioux. They mention a lot of different Indian groups, like they were all one and the same, but I want to keep, there were so many different that the Sioux ran throughout here, so I'm going to talk about the Sioux. And if anyone is the Sioux, nice to see you guys. Nice to see you. Good. Okay. So, before, having to do with artifacts, like this always has to do with artifacts and your power pieces that we come back to and in building them. So, in building pieces that are rattles, drumming, small drums, concealed pieces that you can put pieces in. Back in the 1800s, so the Sioux the men would go off on a vision quest. The women would have their vision quest right before their menstrual period. So they would go into a tent for 4 days. They could rest a lot more, than the men, but it was really about getting into yourself and seeing a vision and feeling no one was to disturb you, no men were to come in when you were a woman, and it was really about kind of just getting into your real core, your real self as you're becoming a woman. And the same with men, very, very interestingly enough, the men, as some people really know, the men would go off on a vision quest with the Sioux, right about 1600s, 1800s. It ended about maybe 1880s. A lot of the vision quests were kind of stopped. So the vision quest, the men, and I'm going to talk about the Sioux people. You would go, a young man or a young boy who's becoming a man, you would have a certain name that you would name yourself. Once you went through your vision quest, you would get to come in and have a new adult name for yourself that really matched you on your visions that you saw in all of this. How would you get these visions? I talk about clearing and putting light through. This is something just a little bit more dramatic. Maybe you find a spot, if you're a young man and you build, maybe someone helps you build a structure that you're going to stay in for 4 to 8 days until you have this vision. And when you have hi you guys, nice to see you guys for joining. Thanks. All about shaman and talisman today, but it is about talisman and pieces of adornment, but we're starting from the idea of the shamans and vision quests and all of this on how we kind of, the way I talk about things in a little bit more of a diluted way, making it my own, in my own modern world now, So this vision quest, you would, a man would go out, you deprive yourself of food, maybe you have a little bit of water, you're deprived of sleep, you're just sitting up, you don't have a bed, you don't have a pillow, you're sitting up, you're looking at the stars, the moon, the sun, you're looking into the sun, you're experiencing all the elements, you're looking out for what animals are going to show up, those might be your animals, and you're kind of just undoing. When I talk about undoing, it's really kind of undoing. So you're out there for 4 to 8 days, you're in and out of not much sleep, being deprived, being thirsty, being maybe afraid, being, looking at the stars, maybe having hallucinations. Oh my God, there's some words that I stumble over. Sorry, hallucinations. There we go. Okay. And, so all of this is woven in. So it's intentionally giving yourself this little bit of hardship, that the Sioux Indians and Indians did, which is so interesting. You give yourself a little piece of hardship and all of this growth comes in. I compare it to when I'm doing my yoga, we're giving ourselves this hardship for people who are working out, and with it comes this little bit of enlightenment and light that runs through your body, right? For people who do yoga or get in there and walk or spend this dreamy kind of time. Well, this is 4 days of dreamy time, and you're really supposed to come up with a vision, and when you do, if you don't come up with the vision, you could do this over and over again. When you come up with your vision, your people come out to check on you and they take you back with you. You're not supposed to talk. You go into a sweat lodge, you clean up, and then you go and smoke your pipe with your group of people and you talk about your experience, and an adult name is given to you. You find your adult name, what is appropriate for you, which I think is really, really interesting. I'm going on my name from my youth, and man, I tell you what, I feel like I've changed 100 times over. I don't know if you guys feel the same. So after that, you're actually can take back with you. You can take back with you, say, if you saw a bird or a specific bird or a rabbit or an animal, or you looked at trees or you saw a certain star. All of these elements are considered your talisman. And you could go back and you could put these talisman on your tent, draw them out on your tent, on your body, not in a permanent stage. And they actually said, there was Crazy Horse that always had a lightning bolt on the side of his face. He was a very famous Native American Indian, a Sioux leader, and he must have been in a lightning storm, and literally that was his power, this lightning bolt. Why wouldn't you wear this talisman and put it in your work and put it on your tent and put it anywhere you can. That's what your talisman is. Something that gives you power or love specifically, and brings this light into your world and reminds you of who you are, right? It reminds you of who you are. And that's kind of really what our talisman are about when we're building talisman. Now, a shaman or a medicine man, which there's, or a medicine woman, there's two different categories. One of them literally is a shaman, which is a mystic attributes, and the other one is the medicine man, which has the healing attributes that heals the physical body. The medicine man will come in, so the medicine man comes in and heals broken legs, heals what he can. When they feel like an injury, internal distress without an explanation is concluded, then they need supernatural influences, which is the shaman. And it's really interesting because in my life, I've run into many shamans, but I've had one that did direct work on my husband. I seen another shaman, two shamans. I was in Indonesia, and we had a group of 8 priests that were shaman, and literally we chanted for hours and hours during a full moon. And at the end of all of this, we were putting all of our negative things we wanted to get rid of into a coconut. We all had a coconut. We were putting all of this, throwing things into the fire, dispelling, getting rid of qualities we didn't want, getting rid of things in our life that we didn't want. And in the end, we actually left our group, our circle, and we had to crack our coconut open, like break it open and let all these negativity go. And this was, kind of run by a shaman. Another time I saw it in Yalapa, there was in Puerto Vallarta where I teach a workshop, there was a shaman who came in, and have I found in my research on the Native Americans that there is a difference in talisman depending on whether they're a woman or a man. It's so hard because I think things are so different now. Women were not able to touch, at least during the Sioux and late in time, Native American, they weren't, because they had the power of birthing babies that was equal, from what I'm reading in here, it's equal to a man hunting and killing. So it's like a man is hunting and killing, and a woman is, so they're taking life, and this is providing life, is how they're seeing men and women in this Time Life book from the 1800s, which I thought was kind of interesting. So they don't want to mix the two, if that makes any sense to you. To me, it made sense there. So they don't want to mix the life taker and the life giver with each other. So the women were not even supposed to be around when the men were hunting. And the men were not supposed to be around when the women were menstruating, and when they'd go into tents and have time to themselves, where, it's actually kind of nice if you think about it. I remember in 7th grade, or in 6th grade, right, we watched this film about your friend, and they tell you, you don't change your life at all, everything's normal. And I was like, what the heck are they talking about, We're not supposed to change our life. And it's because I think in some cultures back in time, when you're menstruating, you can go in a red tent in the Middle East. Native Americans, you went into a tent and you got to be relieved of your duties, of your cleaning and your everyday stuff, and just kind of relax and lollygag around. Wouldn't that be incredible, with a couple of your friends, So, it's kind of set up in an interesting way. We've lost a lot of that, so we have to be the ones that take that back for ourselves, whether it's through yoga, whether it's through drum circles. It's interesting because a friend of mine who is a Christian tells me that they, she's actually in some of these churches that dance, these, maybe they're Baptist or Christian. It was a Christian church, but they dance. They play music, you dance, because you're changing up your energy all the time. And that's what I see also with this Native American Indian group, the Sioux. They are drumming, they're building rattles. When you're crying for a vision, and some of these medicine men, I thought this was so interesting, in building your talisman, there have been people who have cut off pieces of their skin, dried them in the sun, and put them in rattles. So when you're rattling them around, you have the power of your own power inside. But otherwise, there's certainly been talks that I talk about where you take, say your animal, say you saw oh my gosh, I can't remember what this bone was from, but if you saw an anteater walking past you, maybe that would be your power animal. You're going to find a spine or bone or something. You know, this is the mastodon, not that people would see the mastodon, but you know, you build things into your work like we do. Maybe you saw shells, maybe you know, ran into specific rock or something. You know, maybe it was sea creatures or bones. And that's why, you know, when I talked about shells and bone and all of this and work, it's always the early work, because people, you know, it was all about bringing love, well, you know, and bringing power and strength. We want to talk about power and strength. Power sometimes has like a bad, I got to watch you live today, off from work, yay! Yay, welcome Cindy, everybody. We are happy to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. I love reading the comments, so if you guys have comments, remember, you guys are my community too. You know, even if it's a little different or if it's on the subject, but a lot of people, you know, I could say nowadays, like a lot of people who are doing the ayahuasca, you know, there's a lot of young 20-year-olds that are going, well, I think ayahuasca is now coming to people out here, but originally it was going down into South America. There's a really good documentary on ayahuasca on Netflix that was this young 20-something-year-old from Boston. He was studying medicine. He was in college studying medicine, and he was just so depressed, and he could find no fulfillment in his life, you know. And like one of his last draws is he did this pilgrimage to South America to take this ayahuasca to see if it would help him. And it's a whole documentation. It's still on there now. I can't remember the name of it. Argentina, Mimi, nice to see you. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful. You and we share the same. You know, I talk about the Native American Indians at different times. I've talked about Aztec jewelry and culture, and it's so interesting to me, you guys, because I had a woman, which, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful when people contact me. I'm always trying to make sure that I stay culturally appropriate. And I had a woman who was an Aztec woman. She said, Susan, I don't know if you know it, but we still consider ourselves Aztec to this day, which I had no idea. I always talked about the Mayan and the Aztec in the past. I don't find writing and reading like that. So it opened up my mind and just, you know, made me know how to, one more step towards trying to be relevant and culturally appropriate. So when we're using different types of work, your great-grandmother was, oh, yay! I wonder how you say that. O-I-B-W-A. Very interested in Native American, because I just found that word, and I was like, should I stumble over this? Okay, so the Ojibwa, I don't know how to say, Ojibwa Indians. There's a lot about the Ojibwa Indians, and believe me, I'm probably butchering it. If I could hear things, instead I read things. Ojibwe. And is the J pronounced ja, or is it ha? Might be O, right? Might be a sound like Hispanic. Accent on the jib. Ojib. Okay, Ojibwa. Okay. So they, you know, really the Ojibwa had a lot of sweat lodges. Like this was the core of the sweat lodges. So before a hunt, before going out into, you know, you always wanted to get this magic to you before you're going out to hunt. You want this magic to be coded. So, you know, you wouldn't just like sometimes how we do get up and go into work and get into our studio and build. You think about things like that. You stay conscious. You stay relevant. You know, so if you're going out for the hunt, you think, you know, you start a couple days ahead of time, like maybe cleansing and purifying yourself, and sweat lodges to clean your body, to clean your spirit, to heal, you know. So sweat lodges by the Ojibwa are sometimes to heal. If you're sick, you go in and sweat it out, or it's to prepare for battle, or to prepare for, you know, something really big that you want to be clean and clear for. Probably the vision quest that I talked about earlier. And that's oh my gosh, how fabulous. Thank you so much for being here today. That's great. And it's a Ojibwa. So, okay, and no man begins there's no like young boy or man that would begin his manhood until he's had a vision. And, absolutely, that's really what people believe as well. So in thinking about, there's been some shaman that have, I want to show you guys a couple pictures. My phone actually, we'll see. There's just some, amazing information because, it's a lot about dreams. It's a lot about scalps. You know how there was actually a, this actually is Crazy Horse, who's the Sioux. You can see, it's like he's got the lightning bolt on his cheek, he's got the eagle feathers, he's got the bear claw. These are things that are bringing him power. He's not so concerned about the love part of it. I add the love part in with my stuff. And it's like some people are putting their talisman on their shields. Like what brings them power? The circular, the endless life in all cultures, the stitches, the endless life. This is the eagle feathers. There's the eagle, which absolutely of all birds is the, that's like the hunter that is beeline in thought. Your inspiration is flying all the way to Europe. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. You know what? I thought about this morning because I grew up listening and researching the Native American Indians, and it's so interesting to me because you guys don't have that in Europe. This is the people who are here in the United States. And there was a time when I was traveling and I saw, there was a period of time where the German people, I went into Germany and I saw that it was like one of the hip styles was the cowboy boots and cowboy hats. And I was like, how cool is that? It made me realize, this is like a Native American, like a Southwest adornment that was necessary for the desert. It was a Southwest adornment of cowboy boots to protect from rattlesnakes, hats from that hot sun, so it was really fun to see things kind of hop back and forth. Another time in Paris, I actually saw this was about 10 years ago, I saw the whole 50s, all the 50s women who were in roller skates and, that type of dining where you go to your cars. I actually worked a job like that when I was younger. Not on roller skates, but we'd go out to the car at A&W Root Beer is where I worked. So kind of interesting. Well, cool. Thank you for joining us. This piece I thought was fabulous. This was a piece. This was after a vision. So this was built by, I think it says Pawnee. Yeah, Pawnee, after he had a vision quest. And it really is the sky. So obviously this man, the sky influenced him. You can see the North Star in here, and that was like his power, so in thinking about, in taking all this into account, when these men would come back and really let their vision sink in, they would paint onto their pipes, onto teepees, rattles, build shields, wear jewelry that had to do with their visions. And in some ways, that's what we do now. They're actually, I was reading about tattoos, there's irrelevant in our time. So I always like to draw the past into the current time now. Look at all the tattoos that people get their power. And I'm actually trying to get ready. I was supposed to get my tattoo a couple of years ago, but I haven't gotten it yet, so I will. But mine, is of course based on, it inspires us. That far away, even more mysterious. Absolutely. So in Europe, yes, the Native American Indian, because I remember when I was growing up in school and studying from like a Christian perspective, and things we read was that the Native American Indians worship the sun, worship the mountains. Well, here from Time Life, this is Time Life, they're telling us that no, it was God that they're of course honoring, but the sun is just the power from God. The moon is the power from God. All of these different types of things are the power, mountains, power from God, all of this. So, I think we always got a lot of misinterpretations. I have fond memories going to A&W root beer floats with my aunts and uncle. Still love a good root beer float. Yay, I was a car hop. Oh my gosh. So you know what, you guys, that was my first job. I was 13 or 14 years old. I loved working. I was hired illegally. My sister and I worked there. And it's where everybody hung out too. You know, the kids hung out there, and there was these cute little baby. They weren't like shot glasses. They literally were like a little baby root beer mug, and you would, if a kid was in the car, you would give a little hand of your root beer to the kids. Do you remember those little baby ones? People loved them. It wasn't like now. People would hide them and steal them and put them in their car, and we would have to pay for them. Think about that now. That'd be so illegal. So back then, we'd have to pay $1, which was a lot in the late 70s. So me as the car hop, I'd have to go up to the car and tell them, I need to get that baby root beer mug back. And they're like, no, we don't have it. And then I'd be like, why did you pay $1 for it? And usually people would give me $1, you know, for the mug. So it's interesting. Little memories of all that. I always liked to work when I was younger. Luminous Encaustics, welcome, Linda. Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see you. I'm actually talking about Talisman from the shaman point of view. So I talked to you guys about a lot of things. Let me see what I want to wrap up a lot of this in. So the vision quest, the shaman, I talked about the different, the shaman, there was a shaman in Puerto Vallarta that I want to say that did a healing, and we didn't observe directly, but he told us about his story, and he would use an egg. So what you would do is you would go in, and in some way you'd want to absorb all the negative. Now remember, the medicine man or medicine woman is working on you until they discover that, you know, if your body is just kind of in atrophy, the Sioux felt like your soul left your body and they have to get it back. There's a reason it left your body. You know, your dreams tell you these type of visions and things. So when the medicine man came in, he came in with an egg, and it's like absorbing all of this negativity. Literally, the shaman of the Sioux, he felt like he'd look for on your body a fluff or a feather or a stone or a piece of sand or something, because they thought, you know, they really believed, or, you know, still believe, I'm not sure, that, you know, this is like, negative forces will manifest itself in a physical unit, which is interesting, you know. So, you know, then the egg absorbs everything, and then they really will say over and over, like a talisman. When I talk about words as talisman, they'll say, you're getting better, you're going to get better, you're getting better, you're healed. Because also these words are important. It's like a talisman telling someone, you know, all about the meditation. Yes. So, preach, yes. So, you know, all about that. So it's like shaking and moving and dancing. I am going to have up very soon, which brings me back to, and then I can wrap this section up here. But I did want to say that I actually filmed with, you know, my film guy, my dance person. We put together a film of really a performance piece with a movement piece. I did it for Milan Jewelry Week. That was going to be the first week in June. And it didn't go on this year, but a lot of good things have happened since then. It's like she actually is going to put our film that we did on the front of Artist Star Jewels, which is like, it's the museum quality pieces. So it will be up there soon, and it's going to be on there all the way up until 20 of 22. So I'm super excited. As soon as she gets that link, as soon as she gets the performance up on Milan Jewelry Week, Artist Star, I'll send you guys a link. I'll post it in my social media. If you guys want to make sure that you're on my mailing list, you can get there by going to my website or going to Jewels of the Nomad site and get on my mailing list, and I'll send you the link, and you guys can watch this absolutely beautiful performance with my jewelry that has to do with shaking the energy around you, how pieces were worn and honored in their original meaning of movement, of noise, of drumming, and all of that. Send the link, yes. So it really is true. So I'll get you guys that very, very soon. And yeah, it's really exciting. So I'm super excited. You know, a lot of things happening behind the scene. I'm still trying to get to India, but oh my gosh. I wanted to talk just about one more thing about, you know, the sundancing. There was a sundancing dance, that prayers and sacrifice. And this is really like crying for a vision. All of this is called crying for a vision. And it's like in extreme cases, you know, we know if a lot of people are doing this undoing, like, you know, the way our world is right now, a lot of people are undoing, we're getting clearer. I'm doing my yoga, I'm clearing, I'm bringing in light. I'm able to show up in my studio, build my talisman that are right for me. If you guys are in intentional metalsmithing, I have a whole clearing exercise I do in there to clear yourself, to show up, and I encourage you to build and use your own pieces. Shaking off the demons, girls. And, you know, always, like, if you love something, if you love, you know, this piece, oh my gosh, this is an aquamarine that has beautiful, you know, beautiful facets. This didn't look like anything. It sat for a while, and finally I was like, oh my gosh, I have to use this. It's a beautiful color. Mix it with the right colors. The cone shell for prosperity. You know, make sure that you build your pieces with what are important to you, because don't let someone talk you out of it. I mean, I have to tell you again that because of my freedom of materials, and I pass it on to you. This is our talisman. This is what we owe the world. You know, we're designers, and we're jewelers, and we are artists, and if we show up and do our real work, we will always have a market for ourselves. Have no fear. It's opening up, the world is opening up, and we are able to get out there, and people are doing their sales again, and you're selling jewelry, and the money is flowing, and it sure feels good, guys, because my stuff doesn't take away from your stuff. And I just did a whole series of earrings that are all about, I did a whole series, you know, of these. These are actually the mastodon and the gems that I absolutely love. Mastodon and gems. And, you know, I actually have some prayers to wind onto here, but it's actually going to be in my next jewelry sale that I have coming up. It's all types of mixtures of gems, combining different gems. I love this one because it has the pinks, oh my God, those pinks, and, you know, the oranges and the reds. Oh my gosh, what does that say, you know? And all the mastodon. And then I'm also into these very, very open cages that I call open prayer boxes. So oh my gosh, so nice to see you guys. Thank you. Well, this Friday, tomorrow, I have got, you know, so, and with prayer boxes that we build, it reminds me of the type of, you know, these open prayer boxes, whether they're large or small. Oh, it just so happens I'm not wearing a prayer box today. I built so many prayer boxes, you know. But these open forms in prayer boxes, here's a little one here. You know, you actually can put a little piece of steel on the inside if you wanted to. If you wanted them to rattle and make noise, steel holds up and, you know, doesn't make things dirty if you keep it on the inside. If you use sterling silver, of course, it'll just fuse on there at the same temperature. But think of, you know, what can you put on the inside of your cages and rattles and things like that. So in my sale tomorrow, there's a sale tomorrow, opens up at 12 Eastern. I have a lot of these naturally shed moose horn that are, you know, when they're shed, they're from Alaska. I get them from Alaska. Oh my gosh, you know, I have decorated this one here. This one will be in my June sale coming up. But, you know, this one is, the energy's put in. It's a hollow form also, but you can't see that it's a hollow form in any way, or it's just super light, because bone is, you know, can be a hollow form, and this is shed. But I have a lot of these blank forms that you're welcome to just wear, you know, in addition to your pieces. It breaks up all that silver, or to decorate if you're intentional metalsmithing or you're a jeweler. Why not? You know, it makes, this is for my power and strength coming from a moose. So if my power animal were a moose, I would be getting tremendous power from this. This is something I would seek out, which I love, the power and strength. So we're looking for love, power, and strength, really, when you're down to it. Because if you have love, impersonal love, you're happy, you have joy, you know, you can have your passion, and you can go out into the world and feel good about yourself and about others. If you have strength with that, strength and power, you, there we go. Oh, thank you. And if you have strength and power, you know, you can go out there and contribute and lead and put out there what is important and intentional so people can see. Does that make sense? Okay, you guys. Hey, Colin. You want to come say hi? Okay, I want you guys, this is a guy, I was telling you guys that we put together a film. This is Colin here, and he's my film guy. So he did this film that's going to be on Artist or Jewel, and he's doing, here he is, Colin.
Hello.
Yeah. So he's actually, did you wear your jewelry today?
No, not today.
Oh, Colin has a nice handful of jewelry that he usually has on his body. Do I explain more about color theory when choosing the colors of stones and crystals on my online course? That would be a good subject. There, Christina said that. Okay, sounds good. That would be a good subject for me to talk about on Jewelry Talk. Let me do that. Well, you guys know Christina and I were working hard on the book. I have a graphic designer now that's putting the Intentional Metalsmithing book together. The book has more of the right side brain kind of things and the left side brain. It has inspiration. People are saying hi to you, Cal. Hi, Madeline. Hey there. So I want to tell you guys the jewelry sale is June 26th. Save your money or save your time. It's a Saturday. Tomorrow I have a jewelry sale. I have beautiful gems coming up. You know, I compare the gems to chakras. So it's like I find with color theory, which I'll do a whole talk about that, really interesting color theory, is that I go with what I know the book. And you guys are all in Intentional Metalsmithing. The book, you get the, you get it as an ebook. And if you want to, you can upgrade it to a book. No jewelry in tomorrow's sale. It's all, there's beautiful mastodon. There is a beautiful druzy that I use in my work, like this. There's beautiful druzy like this. There's new turquoise in there. I just sold out all of my walrus teeth slices. If anyone is looking for more, let me know, because I can certainly get some in. I just got in new tools, the dies. I won't have them up this week, but I'll have them up next week. I just got in new dies to make these type of pieces. I'm getting in some gorgeous Indian components. Yay! I couldn't get out to India, but I'm getting out there hopefully in July. We'll see. How do we upgrade for a book? We'll let you know then, Madeline. We know you're gonna get one. We'll let you know. We're hoping to get it done by the end of June. That's our goal, which probably means mid-July, right, Christina? It will be available to students, so no worries, you guys. Don't get worried. Make sure you're on the mailing list. And I hope you guys enjoyed the talk today, and think about how this relates to you and your own work. You know, maybe I'm not a shaman. Actually, what I found out, a shaman will never call themselves a shaman. And if they call themselves a shaman, they're not a shaman. So that's what I read. So, in a village, it was easy to find the shaman because the whole village would say, oh, they're a shaman. But you can't advertise yourself as a shaman. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, 2.0. Look at you. Nice to see you. Yes, it's available. It's going to be available. It's a pretty incredible book. It is student work in there. I have some artists that are my peers that I've known in the field forever, and they are talking a little bit about their own, in each technique. So when I get into caging, I have a beautiful artist picked out for caging who talks about her approach to caging, and you get to see her work in caging. You get to see, I have a beautiful artist that's doing hollow forms in her own work, in her own way. So it's like, I like to show my work, but I also, to inspire you. There's inspirational pieces in there. So, I like to show, like when you're doing the caging technique, I like to show what you could aspire into once you get the caging worked out. Like, what is caging, All of this different types of stuff. The book is released to the public later in the year. Right now, it's just for students. Make sense, you guys? Okay. All right, you guys. Well, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Think about your own talisman. If you're in Intentional Metalsmithing and you haven't listened to my clearing session, or if you're interested in it, maybe you have your own, I have recorded on there a clearing. And I think Christine even has it put into the book, right, in writing. And we're also doing a new edition of Making Connections. Yes. Oh, and I wanted to tell you guys, I think there's one student for Morocco that moved over to March. So March, Morocco of 2022 is completely full. There may be another spot that opened up in October of 21 for Morocco. I'm putting together a body of work right now of all small talisman and a hand stitched, type of neck piece, because I thought, we actually have 4 days of teaching in my Morocco workshop in Mexico. So I'm getting Mexico opened up. That's the first week of December. I'm going to have the photos and the description up soon. I haven't even talked about it, so no one is signed up. But if you're really craving a workshop from me, please sign up for Mexico, because it is an incredible workshop. And that's only what I'm doing right now. My expectations for people that show up for Mexico are that you are kind of an intermediate jeweler, or you've taken intentional metalsmithing courses, at least some. Make sense? Okay. All right, you guys. If anyone's interested in Morocco, I am going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm working all on these gorgeous Moroccan-inspired, a whole little charm necklace that, and then I thought, like, in our downtime, because we have a 15-day tour, a 5-star 15-day tour is Morocco. I'm super excited about it. You can check out the whole description on my website, and then just, either pop it into Instagram or email me if you're interested. Sherry's coming. Yeah, Sherry. Oh my gosh. So Sherry's going to be on there. I'm getting, yes, in store for October. I'm working on that right now. I'm really excited about it. I kind of wanted to bring in a Moroccan influence with filigrees and hollow forms and shapes, and small charms, almost like, this type of a necklace that's stitched. So in our downtime, if we feel like it, we can stitch our leather, or, on the trip, if, how a lot of women, I did a Waldorf course, and we were always sitting around stitching, Morocco. Yes, check out my site if you want to see the itinerary. We're going into the desert. We're staying in a Bedouin tent. We're studying the Berber jewelry, which is, oh my gosh, a people that I love their jewelry and their adornment and their philosophy and their way of life, and it's a nomadic way of life. I'm going to have the tool list up. We can all bring our the nomadic tools with us that we can carry or put under, and if we all have our nomadic tools with us, we'll have it'll be fun. I'm going to bring a Dremel. We'll have a crock pot there that plugs in, a Dremel that plugs in, and we've got torches, so you guys will have to bring a torch head. Any questions, just email us there. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Oh my gosh, this ring and more will be for sale. And even, this ring and more, just to show you guys, all be for sale at the June 26th. I even am selling one of my large pieces that has a wall piece connected to it. You're gonna see, one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm selling I actually decided to put together stands for the jewelry, beautiful stands where they can sit. Say if you have 3 pieces, they can sit on your dresser. I know for me, when I get up in the morning, I look for my jewelry first. Really, literally, they're my talisman. That's what I do first thing in the morning. Look for my jewelry on my dresser. Oh, going with your better half. Good for you. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. Sale tomorrow, just in gems and mastodon and walrus and moose, all that kind of stuff. So I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.